Beginning of my video. Boom!
Welcome back to Boring Reviews.
Boring land.
Oh, just kidding.
Blasphemer!
All
Hello,
right.
Boring Review Nation!
Kind of pointless.
We know all things. It was over in a snap.
We really want it. Alright, we'll be nice.
Only you can be a Patreon.
Oh my gosh!
Look out. That's crazy.
You don't need to follow the show to be hyped.
Hello, Boring Review Nation! Gabe!
Nick?
Oh, finally back. I missed you. I missed you all. I mean, not just, yeah, you too, Nick, but I miss you guys.
He doesn't miss me. He sees me way too much.
I have not been able to record the last few days, guys. Man, I tell you what, like everybody else in the world, we know that we have this epidemic going on, or pandemic at this point. It's affecting people all over, and I just want to make sure everybody's okay. Send out some prayers and thoughts. It's unprecedented what we're going through right now.
It's crazy.
But, you know, ultimately, we just got to try to put a brave face on. I was impacted. I was recently laid off from the MGM Grand. That's one of the biggest employers. I've mentioned to you guys that I've driven limos before. But, you know, to be honest, my wife and I were kind of making that leaning toward the decision of me taking the LOA, because just being around so many people that travel, I was,
Sorry.
you're fine. You know, being around so many people that travel, I just was not comfortable doing that, and then going to school and being around kids and my own kids, you know what I mean?
This is news to me too. You're not going back at all, or you're just taking some time?
I got laid off, so...
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I got laid off from MGM.
It was like a voluntary laid off?
Yeah, no, it was, dude...
I didn't know. I thought you took a leave of absence.
I was going to, and before I got they called me Saturday the next day. I didn't actually have a chance to tell you this. They called me Saturday the next day and were like, yeah, the entire department is laid off. They're either furloughing or laying off. Are you ready for this, bro? 2/3, not half, 2/3 of all employees. 2/3. They're going to shut down casinos, bro. It's crazy. But it is what it is, man. And, you know,
Well, Boring Reviews ain't doing any layoffs.
I had to call
soon.
Well, I'm not laid off here though. You know what I mean? So
Not
this
gonna
is
happen.
good. And
If I lay you off, they lay me off.
But you know, I figure ultimately this is at least going to be a good time for us to get on camera, talk to the fans, watch movies, and ultimately try to forget about all the madness out there in the world. I can't tell you how the news cycle in my own house was playing all day long. It was like, oh, enough with it. So let's talk about something fun and something that's amazing. Oh.
And before we do, just in case anyone's confused, he's still a teacher. His other job was an extra job. This guy, he does everything for his family. He was working 2 jobs, maybe sleeping 2 or 3 hours a night. So I'm glad that he's able to get some sleep. Obviously, hopes and prayers to your family, be able to get through all that. But his main job, he's still got that.
I do as an educator. But
Mirzapur?
Miserable episode 7. Now somebody
episode 8 now. We're on episode 8 now.
7. No, it is
7.
I'm sorry, 8, right? Because it's 9.
Because you're used to 8 episode seasons, not 9 or maybe 10 episode seasons.
Right,
yeah,
they give you an extra one. You're right. This is episode 8.
Second to last.
And somebody had put in the comments, the next episode is my favorite of all time. And I'm like,
all of them can't wait for episode 9.
Oh man, episode 8 is absolutely bananas. I tell you what, I was so down on Guddu. You know what I mean? Because I was like, he's messing up, and you know,
so many mistakes.
He's a gangster.
I don't know if every gangster in film or in the real world loves being a gangster as much as he does.
Oh man, this was awesome.
And he's, if I can say for lack of a better term, he's more of a an informal gangster.
Yeah,
you know. But I mean, he loves dropping the hammer.
He drops the hammer at a dime. And obviously, those of you who've seen the show knows what I'm talking about. Like, episode 7 finished off where he's meeting with the head of Junipar and Radhi Shankar, right?
Well, I'm going to look it up. So I think it's Runny Shankar. Someone told us how to say it. I'm going to double check while you're talking.
So they're meeting, and basically he's laid out an ultimatum. He's like, look, I used to work for... the Khalil and his family, and let me tell you something, these guys don't care about anybody. They're gonna they're gonna betray you the way they betrayed me. So you got 2 options right now. You can let that happen, or you could come join me. So I thought, and I even finished the last video telling you, if Guddu jumped ship, I'd be so disgusted in him because he's got no loyalty. And I thought, but at the same time, man, he's there with all his men, that they got AK-47s.
I didn't want him to join. You're right. It is Ruddy Shankar.
But what did he do? What was his response?
Oh, and I didn't see it coming. I really did. I thought he was gonna be so mad at Colleen that he was just whatever. He was disgusted. He was absolutely disgusted. How dare you come offer this to me? There's no way we're gonna work with you. You calls him all these names, and then just before you know it, takes out that gun and bam,
cold
between the
blooded.
eyes. But before he does that, he was just disgusted at the thought, and that's where I feel like what you're saying. He turned into that gangster right there because it was all about the family more than how dare you ask me to come join you.
And it was one of those things where I didn't see it coming. I don't actually think I've ever seen that in film, in any mafia movie or any gangster movie where, normally, you see the heads go at each other that way.
But without the permission of the boss.
But the way he reacted, like, how dare you, kind of, and then it was just like, you know what, no questions asked. And they were outnumbered. It was Babalu, Guddu, and the one dude, and there was about 6 gangsters along with Reddy Shankar. He put out the boom, shot him. Now, I've always said before in movies, that's always the move, okay? Because if you cut off the tail, so to speak, you know what I mean? If you cut off the head of the snake, the body dies. But, just cutting off the tail, another tail to grow. And it's one of those things where his men were in shock. They're sitting there with AK-47s, and then he gets even more gangster, puts down the gun, and he says, now you got another choice. You guys can either join me, or you can all get buried right here. One of the best lines delivered ever. I wish I understood Hindi fluidly, because I bet it sounded a lot better than just read it on subtitles. But the way he acted it, you didn't even need the subtitles at that point, because it was absolutely gangster.
And the poetry of this scene of where Guddu once again shows that he's going purely by emotion. He's going by his instincts. He's not going by what's strategic and what's smart. He's going by his instincts. His instincts said to take him out and to threaten those guys, and it worked out both times. They did not retaliate. They put their guns down. I'm not sure if they joined him, but they basically said, we don't want any parts of this. But that way of him doing business, so to speak, to just act, is poetically, it gets him in trouble later on in the episode, because we're fast forwarding a little bit and we'll backtrack, but just in this point, he meets, Babalu is freaking out. He's like, you did something without permission. You killed the enemy without permission. He told us, don't do anything without permission. We're in trouble. And Guddu's like, just get over it. Who cares? He'll get over it. We just took out the enemy. We did a favor for him, blah, blah, blah. They meet with Colleen, and Colleen's ticked. Because he says, how dare you? He's embarrassed. We had a time of peace. How dare you do that during this time of peace? How dare you do that without my permission? And during that whole time, Babalu's trying to forgive, we're sorry. And Guddu's just like, it's like, forget all that nonsense. We did it, and basically deal with it. And going with that instinct did not work out too well. No, Colleen wasn't like, okay, you're right. He got more upset with him.
Well, he even at one point says in that interaction, should we ask you permission for every move we make? Okay, how would that have worked out with other things? And I was like, whoa, this guy.
It's crazy.
All I can say is, what was Major League? Remember Major League? Was it Major League 1 or Major League 2? Where
the marbles?
The marbles. He said marbles. This dude got some marbles on him, man. And at that point,
you have no marbles.
You have no marbles. He said marbles. Huevos? He understand what he said. He's like, what? Oh man, but I tell you what, it was a great scene, and you're right, it's gonna get him in trouble. It already got him in trouble, but I have become such a fan. And you can see now where things are quickly spiraling out of control. So that happens. That's like by the way, guys, we're talking about like the first 10 minutes of the episode. Wow, they start. I can see that why this is a fan favorite. It's the first 10 minutes of the episode. After that,
they have that conversation.
They have a conversation.
Because Babalu, he's freaking out in the crowd. Like I said earlier, and Guddu's like, relax. But he's just like, no. Babalu's the thinker. Babalu's long term. Right. Guddu's short term. Short term, those decisions, those reactions, like I said, they work out sometimes, but you're not going to survive in that kind of world that way. Babalu is thinking more long term. They have that meeting. Babalu's trying to clean it up. Guddu's not having it. You got Munna, who's upset. You got Tripathi, who's very upset. And you got he said very clearly, don't do anything without my permission. He was very clear about that. Right. And so when Babalu's or Guddu's like, I got to worry about Mr. Universe. I got to worry about Train. I don't got time for this kind of stuff. And Tripathi is very focused. He's very calm.
Yeah.
He's very calculated.
Right.
He already knows what he's going to do. He says, fine. It's like, don't worry about doing anything else. Just prepare for the competition.
For the competition, right.
Make sure you're prepared for that. And you're thinking, like, okay, does he really mean that? Does he sarcastically mean that? Like, if I'm Bob Blue, I'm the kind of person where I do what my boss says.
Right.
And I know you are too. I'd be freaking out like Bob Blue. Like, does that really mean you want us to just focus on that, or is there, want me to go to the warehouse or this or that? I mean, Tripathi, he knows what he's gonna do.
Right. At this point, the writing's on the wall, and I think that the writing was on the wall for them actually last episode when the senior Tripathi basically told him, like, look, this was not Munna's fault. And then he even said something to the effect of, be cautious because your worms, and I think this was for this episode, are turning into snakes. So it's like, okay, now, you know that he's still the head of the family, even though he's retired and he's in a wheelchair or whatnot. So they're going to listen to his advice, and
it's great
Colleen's
advice
gonna listen to his advice, right.
We're fans of Bob Blue and Guddu because we're watching this show and we're behind them. And I like Tripathi a lot, but I'm more a fan of the two main characters.
Right.
But the father's protecting the family, protecting their interests. And these guys that you picked up off the street not too long ago, one of them made a decision to kill out your number one enemy.
Right.
To shoot out your number one enemy and take him out.
What's the next step? Exactly. Escalation, right? Everything's escalation. What's going to stop that from next time him taking you out?
Yes,
You know what I mean?
There's not too many more steps. It's like when you're in a relationship. Once you decide to go serious with that girlfriend,
Right.
You've gone as far as you basically can go.
Right.
That's kind of what Guddu's done. He's gone basically as far as you can go before the next step of, what, forget you. I don't need you anymore either.
So it's crazy. Fast forward a little bit through the episode.
And then it slows down next where we have this whole wedding thing.
Right. And
for me, as a fan of the show, I felt like that wedding was, I didn't need that in this. I don't even need that this season. Like, that was so rushed. But the thing I liked about that was how Guddu and Babu's parents, the mom and the dad, told her straight up. The dad said, my problems with my son is not with you. You are always welcome here.
The way they accepted
eat
him,
at my table. Right. You're part of this family. We're glad to have you. Make sure you know who you have my son. She's like, oh, yeah, I know who he is. But I really liked that. Right. And even when his son didn't want to go inside, and he's outside his father's house, his father's like, that means for you too. Come on inside.
He makes amends and lets him in the house.
I thought that was cool.
And I thought that was a cool scene. But the wedding scene, I see what you're saying where it slowed down. I didn't understand personally his motivations to get married so quickly, knowing in the middle of everything that's going on, like, bro, they could be plotting to attack you right now. They still, for all they know, don't know who attacked them. We know it's the cops, but he doesn't know who is the cops.
Just going on fumes right now.
He's just so reactionary, like you mentioned, and you can see Babalu again looking at everything from the outside in and saying to himself, okay, where are our enemies coming from? He's still thinking, well, now we know it wasn't Juniper, okay? So they're not like us. We're not thinking cops are out to murder you. So in the back of his mind, he's got to be thinking that it's Colleen, or at the very minimum, Munna, right? So we see the whole wedding go off, and we see that even during their wedding, you have the little budding romance, so to speak.
Yeah, Gulu.
Between Gulu and Babalu, which was super cool to see.
I like that too, yeah.
And after the wedding, here comes, he's building up towards Mr. Not universe. It's
a word I believe in Hindi that I don't know how to say.
Right.
But equivalent to
Mr. Universe, yes.
Strongman.
So she's trying to talk to him the entire time, and he's so focused on it. We get to the night of it, and
I mean, they set it up so nice, and maybe that's why they have the wedding in the middle to build that tension. Like, what's gonna happen? You gotta wait a little bit, but you got everyone there. You got Tripathi,
right?
You got the Pandit family there. Right. You got all these people. You got Sweetie and her family there. They're so excited, and then you have that moment of awkwardness, and I felt so bad for Bob Blue because I had been there before with like high school girlfriends and their families, where the mom is so proud of her son that he works for Tripathi, the king of Mirzapur. Go say hi to him. Go ahead, go say hi. And he's like, okay, hey, how you doing? And he just totally disses him, and he's just like, huh, and turns away from him. I felt so bad. And in that moment, I was like, oh no, he's ticked.
It's a bad part, and he's ticked at this point, but nothing has come to a head yet. Now, this is the very first time I would say I've gained a little bit of respect for Munna, because Munna knows no matter what, these guys still are valuable. He knows even though they killed this dude from Junipar, even though, they went against me for my election, my dad is still not to the point where he's gonna green light me, so to speak, going off on them, because these guys are making a lot of money. And what does Munna do? He finds out from somebody, I forget who it was, that it was grandmother, that
what you're alluding to.
He finds out from grandmother, Compounder's grandmother, that Compounder left his phone. He's like, he left his phone. And he got
Makpool following him.
So he's got Makpool with him following him. So now that he's got he knows Makpool is following him. So he's got the phone, and he says it out loud so Makpool can hear the fact that, he was trying to call him, and we're talking about
why is Guddu calling Compounder so many times that night?
So many times that night.
And we know why, because he needed to get his drug fix.
Right, he needed to get the steroids.
Yeah.
But here's Munna finally using his head, not being a gangster, not just being, using force, saying, okay, force is not going to work in this situation. I got to use my head, and I've got to get my dad back on my side. Make it look like the assassination came from Guddu, because you just saw Guddu went and took out the guy from Junipar, so maybe he's trying to take over and be the man, and now he's got that in and that out. And I like how he didn't go directly to his dad or to Makpool and say,
left the breadcrumbs.
He left the breadcrumbs there, like, let them find it themselves. It was his first diabolical. I'm sorry, I know what you're gonna say, but now he's my favorite character. Yes, he's so diabolical.
It broke my heart because I can see the writing on the wall. I thought Makpool was gonna catch him in the act. I totally forgot that Guddu had called Compounder a million times. I should have seen it come, but I didn't. And then once we realize what he's doing, it's just like, oh my goodness.
When I realized when he did it, bro, a tear dropped in my eye. Like, that's my boy. That's my boy, Blue. Like, dude.
Most of us have those tears, like when our kids get married or fall in love or get an award. You get it when the bad guy really comes into his own.
So devious. I love it, man. I was like, finally, you've grown into. Now I feel like he deserves to be a gangster. Okay?
Some of you may think that his whole villain admiration is fake. Let me tell you, when the camera's not on, we have so many conversations about the same very thing. Not necessarily Mirzapur. We saved that for the video. But he has always loved the villain. I don't get it.
I explained it before. When I was younger, I'm the second child. My older brother was the older brother, big guy. He always had to be the good guys when we played with G.I. Joes or Transformers.
He made you be the bad guy.
I was always a Decepticon and Cobra, so I embraced it, and I gave them their own backstories. We've had our biggest fight ever, where his face was red, where a guy, I saw this video essay on YouTube, as a matter of fact, why the Jedi are evil, and Star Wars. We're both Star Wars fans. We're big nerds. And he's like, what did you just say? I was like, yeah, the Jedi are evil. He's like, how dare you? And one of our biggest arguments, it was like a 3-day argument, dude. I'm still trying to convince him, like, look, Anakin wasn't wrong, man. The Jedi.
No.
Hey, they go against their own code. I go
back to Obi-Wan at a certain point of view.
We're off the rails. We're off the rails, as usual. But Mirzapur, yes, because we said it. Munna did not deserve this power he was wielding. Since day one, he was walking around like a little brat. And if you're really going to be in the gangster life, at least own it and at least, act the part. Don't be like, were you at any point in this season intimidated? Come on, you got beat down by 2 dudes and their family, which included mom and little sister. In
episode 2, I was impressed with his ability to be smart with that assassination attempt on his life.
But other than that, come on, we've never gained any real respect for him.
But 8 episodes in, looking back, I love how they developed his character.
Right.
Because for me, I would be so tempted just to have that turn be quicker and then have him be awesome. But typically, that kind of flails out a little bit.
All they've shown us are his screw-ups.
Right, but if you add it all together in 8 episodes, it's a great progression for him. And Guddu and Bob Liu were, without him realizing it, were a great piece of the puzzle, or have been so far to when he frames Guddu. They've been a great motivator for him to get his act together and actually realize I could lose being the future king of Mirzapur to these 2 punks.
Right.
And so I need to step it up. So that is what I really, really appreciated about that whole progression. But he's been a whining baby most of the series.
Exactly, and that's why I finally am proud. Like, wow, I have a new favorite character on this show because you saw, okay, now he deserves it, and it was to the point where his dad finally, at the end of this, well, like, we're skipping ahead of it, but anyway, now Makpul knows what's going on, and Makpul calls Colleen at the Mr. Universe competition. So everybody's flexing, and there's this guy that everybody's like, wow, this guy looks really good. He's huge. And here, your boy Guddu, no, he's no longer my boy. Wow, I just jumped shit quick. Here's your boy Guddu, and he tells the guy, be careful, don't flex those muscles too much out there.
Try too hard.
Like, bro, he's threatening me.
And the guy, didn't the guy like apologize? Like, oh, you're right.
I'm sorry. Yeah, he wants no part.
They know who he is. I mean, to his credit, the actor, he got pretty jacked for this role, 100%. I mean, he got all greased up. He goes out there, and
everybody's sure he's gonna win because
even the family was like, "Oh yeah, he's definitely gonna win. This is awesome." And then
right before
that, you got Colleen who gets the judge over here, and he says, "Make sure, or Guddu better not win."
Yeah, Guddu must not win. And then he's like, I've got to go. Leaves right in the middle of the competition, and you see Guddu's face like, did he just leave before the competition's even over? What's going on?
Worried.
Babalu sees it, so right away he sees the writing on the wall. He's like, oh, this isn't good. So again, he leaves.
And then they announce the other guy. He's not even like a second runner-up. He just flat out loses. I think there's only 4 guys. Flat out loses, and he loses his mind. I knew because of the pills he was taking and everything else. I knew he was going to erupt. We haven't seen Munna yet, but I knew Guddu was going to erupt, and man, did he erupt. I mean, he went nuts on everybody and anybody. Did he hit Sweetie? I can't remember.
No, he did not hit Sweetie. He just like pushed her out of the way because she was trying to stop him.
But he got kind of aggressive with her,
yeah,
right?
because
Like,
she was trying to stop him.
In that zone
he took
of
the trophy and beat. He said, "You want to be first place?"
Yeah.
He beat the brakes out of the first place dude with the trophy. It was insane, man.
He busted a perpendicular.
But here, like you said, your boy Babalu has grown up. He's a gangster right away. He pulled out his gun, pop, pop, pop. He's on stage, back up. You know what I mean? So he's, like you said, he's gonna be with his brother till the end.
It makes me so sad. I'm all about the good.
But he's like, okay, I don't have a choice. What am I gonna leave him up there? Like, bro, we gotta go. You just did this. We have to go. So they finally get him off stage, and now they're off to the races. They know, okay, the writing is on the wall. This is not good. Yeah, Mr. Chapati must have made this call, so we need to go into hiding. Let's leave. So they grab their girls, and they're out of there. And then...
Not just that, but we forgot, even with in his rage, he also threatened Babalu. Didn't Babalu get in his face, and he also threatened him, I will kill you if you don't get, or whatever.
Yes, he did.
Mean, he completely was gone.
Yes, he did. And then, towards the end of the episode, we now see Mr. Chapati, right?
I hated this part.
And he goes and he says to Munna, like, look, obviously, and I think he's realized, like, look, these 2 guys pull the wool over my eyes, especially if they're trying to kill me now, or now at least, so he believes or whatnot.
Yeah, he's being played by his son.
So he's like, obviously, I've lost my footing. It's time for you to take over as, the head of the family. So he's kind of handing down the reins, in his eyes. He
gives him the gun, the symbolism of you are now the man in charge.
You're now the man in charge, hands him the gun, and Makpul's like, even, you want me to go with him? And he's like, he's a chapati. Like, you know what I mean? He's going to be all right. He's a chapati. He's going to do this on his own. Yeah. So he says it's time for Mirzapur to remember why they fear us.
And by doing that, it allows Munna to act in any way he wants now. This is his town.
Right.
He can do whatever he wants. And that's what I kind of saw with the whole Makpul thing. Like, no, we're not watching him anymore. He's his own man. He needs to make these decisions. And whatever he does, we're going to be there to support him. My question is this. Maybe I missed it in the translation. Maybe I missed it through the subtitles. What was the rush for Colleen to hand over the reins? Was he afraid after the assassination attempt by Compounder that his son wasn't ready? I know this whole season, this whole season's been about, is Munna ready? Is Munna ready? What's the rush? Because he's not paralyzed like his dad.
Right.
He's not incapacitated. His brain's not going. He's got all his wits about him.
Right.
Is it just that he sees that he's getting too old and the businesses that he was running weren't going too well and he didn't notice that? What was the rush?
Put yourself in his shoes, okay? Regardless what you think, he's a businessman. He's a gangster. Okay, the carpet business was doing good, but it did better once these 2 young punks take it over, right? the gun business was failing. It did better once these two young punks took over.
Keep the two young punks.
Okay? On top of that, now these two young punks not only disrespected you, show you don't matter because they killed somebody after you explicitly said, don't make a move without me. But now you're thinking, wow, they actually tried to come after me because he's thinking Compounder went after him for them. And on top of that, if it wasn't for his dad, Compounder does kill him because he couldn't even physically, match Compounder. His wife is immaculated him all season long. Emasculated him. Thank you. Telling him basically he's not a young man anymore, and she can't really satisfy.
Right, but
whatever.
wouldn't it make more sense for him just to say, if you want to be the king of Mirzapur, I need you to take these two guys out. I want to see how you handle this situation.
I think that he just finally realized, like, wow, that was the one move where he said, wow, I didn't see this coming. Because you always pride yourself as being the smartest guy in the room. But when, especially in that line of business and that lifestyle, when you can't see it coming, that's when you're in trouble. And he finally realized, like, okay, my better years or my better days are behind me. Okay, I can't handle this. Obviously, I'm going to put Munna in charge. And that's, where it comes. But I did like the fact that the way it was set up, you know what I mean? Where Munna has really manipulated him. And it wasn't like one of those things where he's like, oh yeah, dad, here, this. Because then Munna was going to be like, Munna figured out, if I go to him, he's going to know I have an ulterior motive. But if I just lay out the breadcrumbs and let them, like you said, come to their own, thinking that he's going to think it's really his decision to put me in charge. Well, this is why I'm so happy with Munna. Where Munna is really Munna's decision to be in charge now. It was so awesome, dude. He's just playing like the real Godfather. People don't understand the poster of the Godfather where, the strings, that's because he's always thinking 3 steps ahead and he's always manipulating. He's puppet master, exactly. But, I tell you what, I can't wait till the next episode.
No, this was a great episode. It when that ending happened, even though I didn't want it to happen and I didn't understand it, I loved it. It got me excited. This has one of the best intro and outro songs of all time. I mean, it fits perfectly, and at this point I couldn't wait to watch the next episode, so I went into it and watched the next episode. And we're going to have that video out for you pretty soon because, I mean, how could you not finish episode 8, not go right into episode 9?
You have to. It's like, I got to do it. So we're definitely going to drop that ASAP.
Yes, and we hope you enjoyed this review of episode 8. We got one more to go, and then it looks like maybe Sacred Games Season 2 will be next. Who knows?
Yep.
But as always, thanks for checking us out. If you like this video, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. And check out some other content we have. Check out our Patreon page if you want to help us out. We hope all of you guys stay safe out there, be smart, and until next time.
We know all things.